Finally, Raila Odinga has spoken. Finally. Folks, finally, this patriot, please allow me to call him Comrade Baba. Finally, Comrade Baba has solved the mystery for us of what really happened of our August 9th presidential elections. Now, I want you to listen to this audio clip of precisely what Baba said. Don't worry, I'll be back shortly to break it all down. Yeah, for all of us. Let's just listen in.
We have come here today to launch a book. I've said before, and Macau repeated it, that from independence right through there have been two forces pulling in opposite direction in our country. One, the forces of retention of the status quo versus the forces for change and development. This struggle has been consistent right from the word go. The right wing that has always been in collision with the international monopoly capital is always there. We know that. God has told you what has happened here. The right-wing coup d'etat, electoral coup d'etat that took place on the 15th of August. You saw the chairman of the Electoral Commission running like a thief to go and announce the results. And the bigger part of the commission is saying, no, these are not the results. The international community cannot condemn that kind of action. Why? Because they knew what was happening. It can only happen in Africa. It cannot happen in Europe. It cannot happen in the United States. It is only here is where the chairman of Electoral Commission goes alone with the chairman of 7 commissioners. But he goes alone there to announce the results, and then they say he's the hero of the day. Instead of saying he's the devil of the day. So you have a job to do. What options do you have? One of them is no surrender. Surrender is not in our vocabulary. So we are saying that the African democratization project must move on. There will be setbacks here and there. You've seen in other countries the military coups returning. The generals are coming back. They come back and they're being greeted with flowers by the population. What is it that has gone wrong? We know what has gone wrong in some of our African countries. But that does not mean that we surrender. We must just regroup and move on. Because Africa has great potential. The richest continent in terms of resources is also the poorest. Why? Because true African democrats who believe in Africa and using African wealth for the benefit of the African people have not been able to get power to do so. And the international monopoly capital is not comfortable. When you're talking about making Kenya a manufacturing hub to supply the whole of the Eastern and Central African region, those people are not happy with you. That is the language they don't want to hear. When you're talking about beneficiation, value addition to local raw materials, so that you don't export bauxite, you export aluminum products. You don't export copper ore, you export copper products, including cables. You don't export iron ore, you export steel. You don't export coffee seeds, you talk processed coffee, and so on and so forth. That is going to competition against international monopoly capital. And that is the problem that we are going through. That is the reason why they don't want us to go in there. But we cannot forever remain servants of international monopoly capital. Africans must rise up. And there is a solution to this. Solution to this. Those cereals, so that you don't export bauxite, you export aluminum products. You don't export copper ore, you export copper products, including cables. You don't export iron ore, you export steel. You don't export coffee seeds, you talk processed coffee, and so on and so forth. That is going to competition against international monopoly capital. And that is the problem that we are going through. That is the reason why they don't want us to go in there. But we cannot forever remain servants of international monopoly capital. Africans must rise up. And there is a solution to this. Solution to this. Those stooges, don't look at this, what's happening here. Basically, stooges have been used. But if this does not work, this other one will work. And we know what will work. That's why we are saying that, comrades, there's still work to do. It is a work in progress. Comrades must come together, gather together and move forward. Victory is coming. Victory is certain. We have a right. When those days when the land was 4 fierce, the lion had the claws and the teeth to bite. We were able to confront that lion. Now we have got Simba Kibogoyo. We will move on. We will move on as a people of Kenya. And I'm certain that eventually the people of Kenya will succeed. Those days, we stood up against Nyayo. And you remember we were singing, Nipigwe teke sitarudi nyuma, oh nipigwe teke nipigwe jela rudi nyuma, oh nifungwe jela nipelekwe shimo nipelekwe Naivasha. Hata Nyayo waseme, hata Nyayo waseme, hata Nyayo waseme, sisa tutarudi nyuma. Hata Nyayo waseme, hata Nyayo waseme, hata Nyayo waseme, sisa tutarudi nyuma. Comrade power. A luta continua. A luta continua. I now have the pleasure to do the book launch.
A very warm welcome to my show today. Hey, quite an explosive show. Because for the first time, there is a lot of clarity going forward. Yeah, we know what to expect. We can even predict what is going to happen shortly. So karibu sana as we break it all down. If you're already enjoying this video, please remember to give me a like. That'll help me a great deal. And then I also have very good news. For the next 48 hours, strictly for the next 48 hours, you will be able to become a subscriber of my weekly intelligence briefings. Yeah, for 6 months, for only $9.99. Please rush. Yeah, we're not going to extend this offer. It's just too good. And then if you want life membership, never ever pay subscription again. It's only, wait for this one, $29.99. What? So for only Kenya shillings 2,999, you can be a permanent subscriber of my weekly intelligence briefings. Now, if you're not yet a subscriber, I know you have no idea about what is in weekly intelligence briefings number 88, yeah, or number 87. Those are the weekly intelligence briefings that covered some very hot potatoes that unfolded during our recently concluded presidential elections. I highly recommend them, yeah, because some of the things Raila has just told us are included, yeah, in those particular WIBs. So I highly recommend them, yeah. And now it is very easy. All you need is a 6 months membership, only 999 Kenya shillings, and you'll be in. You'll get also all the previous copies of WIBs as well as the latest, and then you can continue enjoying this exclusive, highly sensitive information for 6 whole months. Or bite the bullet and go for life membership. Never have to pay subscription again. Yeah. The ball is in your court. Make a decision. Right! Let's get this show on the road. Twende kazi. There is an article in today's newspapers, one of the major newspapers in the country, mainstream media, where it says that Raila Odinga has launched campaigns for the 2027 presidential race. What? Are they being serious? What kind of analysis is this? Where is this information coming from? I challenge you. Show me a source that has mentioned 2027. 2027 is a lifetime away. And unfortunately, this is the thinking of the vast majority of Kenyans, yeah, who misread our politics all the time. They don't understand. And of course, one of the reasons why they can never understand, ever, is because they're not interested in history. How on earth can you know where you are if you don't consider the history of where you started? For instance, you're going on a journey and you end up in this place, yeah, and you have to make some decisions. Maybe you're coming from Nairobi going to Mombasa. You end up at a place called Samburu, yeah, which is in Kwale County. But you're still on the Nairobi-Mombasa highway. And you have a puncture. You have a few other problems. And it is getting dark. And you need to make a decision. How are you going to make decisions without considering where you've come from? The history of how you started your journey. Because you'll start raising your car up to change the punctured tire. But you've not considered history. You didn't carry a spare tire from Nairobi. That's history. Anyway, that is your political analysis in Kenya as it is today. Yeah, take it or leave it. That's the way things are. Fact number one of the reasons I laughed. Nobody, unless you correct me, nobody is talking about 2027. That is too far away. Nobody's talking about it. People are talking about the now and here. Okay, not 2027. Let me put it this way. The activity in Raila Odinga's camp that is slowly, very gradually building up momentum is not for 2027. No. It is for a better Kenya as soon as possible. That's really what it is. And many people have not noticed that Azimio is more than a political party. Azimio is actually a movement. It is very important to take careful note of that fact. Now, in the audio clip that we've just taken in of Raila Odinga speaking, he tells us exactly what unfolded in our past presidential elections. He talks of powerful forces that did not raise a finger. They didn't even say anything. They were silent. Why? Because they knew exactly what was happening. In the audio clip, and you can listen to it again, we also told why these powerful forces do not want change in Africa. They don't want change in Kenya. They will do anything to retain the status quo. Cutting to the chase, that is really what Raila Odinga was saying. So, simple question. How do you start campaigning for 2027 when you have not addressed the issues, the obstacles which were in front of you in August 2022? You tell me, how? Because the results will be the same unless you deal with those issues on the table right now. Now you can begin to understand why it is very funny for somebody to write an analysis, a political analysis, speaking about Raila Odinga's 2027 presidential campaign. It's ridiculous. We also know that Raila Odinga's campaign will be focused on two main areas: reforms in the judiciary, and especially at the Supreme Court, and reforms at the IEBC. Now, if it was another Kenyan, no matter how powerful they think they are, no matter how powerful people think those Kenyans are, if it was any other Kenyan talking about reforms at the judiciary and at the IEBC, and they're not in government, this would be something that you just brush aside, laugh, in fact have a hearty laugh. How? How will they do it? However, the person championing these reforms is a man called Raila Amolo Odinga, the guru of reforms in the country called Kenya. How many reforms, successful reforms, has Raila Odinga championed? When he is not in government, by the way. How many? And so, you can be sure, numbers or no numbers in parliament, that a very spirited effort will be made to make those corrections, those reforms, in those two key areas that brought great heartbreak to the vast majority of Kenyans after our recently concluded presidential elections. And let us appreciate where Raila Odinga's real power comes from. It does not come from numbers in parliament, those are important. But through the years, the greatest reforms have happened in Kenya from outside parliament and through Raila Odinga. And the power of Raila Odinga is the people. The vast majority of Kenyans are for Baba, and what he says is best for Kenya. In the 90s, Raila Odinga was not in government. We had a very powerful government under the old draconian constitution in power. And they had the numbers in parliament. They fully controlled the judiciary. Fully controlled the judiciary. But who won in the end? Was it the mighty KANU government? No. The people won in the end. And in 2010, a new constitution was passed. In fact, by the time that new constitution was being promulgated, The country had already gone through so many reforms that just thinking about them can make you dizzy. I'm not kidding. The power of the people, especially when they're led by somebody of the caliber of Comrade Baba. That's really what it is. Now, I appreciate the fact that many on this channel will never even begin to understand what I'm trying to say. You know, at that same function where this audio clip has been taken from, I learned a new phrase: learned fools. Kenya is full of learned fools. People who don't know the history. People who have no idea of why we are where we are today. And therefore they cannot even begin to analyze the current situation accurately, let alone have an inkling of an idea of a way forward. As we keep on saying on this channel, Wakenya wamesoma mpaka wakakuwa jinga. But it is not personal. I have absolutely no problem with you if you insist that Raila Odinga has officially started his campaigns for the presidency 2027. I have absolutely no problem with you. You can hold that position. It is your right under our constitution. It is your right to be ignorant. It is your right to misread the situation completely. It is your right, because it's a choice you've made. No matter how powerful our opponents are, no matter how huge the obstacles standing in the way of a new Kenya, I'm encouraged, and so should you, that nothing can stop Kenyans. Nothing can stop us from achieving a better Kenya. Until next time, this is Kshs. Kumekucha.